Hey everyone, it's Eric Jensen here for some more Jensen Sports Talk. Wanted to get on, talk a little bit with USC and the defensive situation and everything going on with that. So, breaking news yesterday, Alex Grinch was fired as defensive coordinator. And so I want to dig into this a little bit. The defense has been atrocious. Absolutely bad. Against Washington, entertaining game. USC's offense finally looked like they were clicking again. It looked like what we were expecting all season long. Caleb Williams was looking good again, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. He looked like the best player on the field, in my opinion. He looked incredible. Now, having said that, now you look at the game completely, and USC was stopped 3 times, and that was all Washington needed, because USC could not stop Washington at all on defense. And there's a difference. I mean, USC was moving the football like crazy against UW as well, but Washington was able to at least make USC work for it. Washington didn't have to struggle the entire game. They had 2 plays maybe when they struggled, and one was a rollout on a 3rd and long that Penix, did a very good job and hit a guy, with about 5 defenders in the end zone. He finds the guy that's just out there and not really contested for the touchdown after rolling out of pressure. So, I mean, USC... it would have been one thing to give up all those points if you were making Washington at least work for something. But their running back at Washington had almost 190 yards without getting touched. That was before contact he was getting all those yards. I agreed with some of the defensive philosophy of dropping back. But if you're going to drop back into coverage and only rush 3, you've got to be closer to the guys. You've got, if they're running, you've got to close in on it. They were dropping way far back, and UW could just walk, basically, and get 10 yards almost. It was embarrassing. I had personally thought that there was no reason to fire Alex Grinch until the end of the season. After that performance, in conjunction with how the season had gone, it was the right time to let him go right then. Now, Lincoln Riley has been getting some flack on how the situation has been going. I want to defend Lincoln Riley a little bit. I am one of those people at the end of last season that said, oh, you should get a new defensive coordinator. Alex Grinch was not doing well. Looking back now, hindsight, that was the right move to make. Obviously, he did not do well this season, but looking back on it now, I actually think Lincoln Riley probably made the right choice then in keeping him in. I think you have to show some bit of loyalty to guys, especially guys that followed you to a new program and took over a dumpster fire of a program. I think we often forget, because of how good USC did last year, just how bad of a state USC was in after Clay Helton. I mean, recruiting was in the 70s and 80s in class rankings. The cupboard was bare. This wasn't like anyone else coming into USC where there was a lot of talent in there. We had 1 or 2 players, but the talent level was drastically off of a cliff. It was not good. The team was a dumpster fire, and I think we need to remember that. So looking back on it, yes, obviously we should have made the change back then, but I think Lincoln Riley now, even though I was calling for him to make the change, in the moment, made the right call to be loyal. I think that says something about him and his character. Another thing, people are getting on Lincoln Riley saying, oh, look at how he's answering these questions. Well, you're not going to, a press conference where you're answering questions about a game is not the right place to fire a a defensive coordinator or anyone on your team. And so, I don't agree with everything that Lincoln Riley does with his interactions with the press, but I do defend him and no, why, you don't need to answer and say, yeah, you don't need to belittle your players, your coaches, or anything in the press room. You can do that on your own like they did. And I know it's just coach speak then, and it doesn't really matter, but, deal with it. That's the proper way to deal with things and deal with other people who are your friends, who you have relationships with. They are more important to you than, some dude on the press. Now, I think he can do better with the press to build a relationship, build a better relationship with them. But throwing your players or your coaches under the bus in the press room is not the place to do it. I think, whether you get around it by doing coach speak, I'm fine with that. All right. So there's my Lincoln Riley defense. There. I think USC, if we get a competent defensive coordinator, things can drastically turn around because we do have some talented guys and people are lost out there. That is what I'm seeing on the USC defense. They don't know what they're doing. And that's the biggest problem. So if it was me, most of the defensive coaches are probably needing to be replaced. That's my opinion on that, but who knows what will happen. I think it's got to go up, and I do believe that USC can have an elite defensive team. Get a right system in there, and there's no reason why you can't complement what Lincoln Riley and the offense are doing, and then win some championships because of it. Moving forward, there's still a slim chance that USC can win the Pac-12. They need to beat Oregon. Do I think that's going to happen? I didn't think they were going to beat Washington. I don't really see them beating Oregon. I sure hope I'm wrong. I sure hope they show up and maybe all of a sudden they play bananas. Caleb Williams always has the chance to. He's so good at some of the stuff that he does. I don't know how it'll translate into the NFL or anything like that, but he is exciting in how he plays the college football game. And I know some people previously were saying, oh, he should just throw it in. That's not the kind of guy he is. If you look at him breaking down in tears with his mom and stuff, he cares a lot. And I think it's sad that the media have this awful narrative of him that he's all about money and just himself. He's more about winning and being with the team. From what I've seen, I obviously don't know him personally, but that's the kind of person he seems like to me. So hopefully they can get around. He's gonna have to play about a perfect game if they're going to do it. So there's that. Moving forward, though, I am looking forward to a good change and hopefully some good momentum going into the offseason. I'm hoping that with a new defensive coordinator coming in, maybe they can flip some recruits. I do want to see them get a little bit more from California, get more of a stranglehold on that. I think they can do a better job. And with the way everything is going, I know USC is very conservative because they don't want to get, sanctions again with what happened with the Reggie Bush stuff and all of that ridiculousness. It's just absurd. But you're going to have to start moving with the times. And if you have to pay people to come even visit your thing, USC should be able to do that. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the USC thing, firing Alex Grinch. It was time. It had to happen because they'd been just so unbelievably bad recently. You couldn't wait to the end of the season, which I was initially thinking that you could do, but it was just too much. So here's to better times. Fight on. Have it so good.